Welcome to the Needy and Normal podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Levering, mom, wife, and life coach. After hours of coaching and learning from my own life, one thing is clear: meeting your needs is essential for a better life. Here, we'll talk about your needs and not only learn to accept them, but also tend to them without guilt. Let's get needy. All right, so full disclosure, I'm sitting at my recording station, which, if you would like a visual, is next to my bed at the end of my dresser. The dresser, it's a big dresser, my husband and I share it, so it's long, has been my office since 2019, and it's just hilarious to me. I've gotten comfortable with it, it's fine, but one day, I hope to have an office in my own home that isn't this. But for now, I've been very accepting and very adaptable, and it works fine. So next to me, beyond that, I'm facing the wall, by the way, and I have lots of photos of our baseball life. I'll have to do a visual on Instagram for you. But to my left are two windows, and out of the farthest window is trees being chopped up out my window, so hopefully you don't hear that. And if you do, now you know what that is. Because I'm on a schedule. This is my record day. And I like recording day because I love showing up for you. I really, really do. Thank you for being here. If you're new, I hope you go back and catch up a little bit. None of these episodes really, truly need to be listened to in order, but I have heard from listeners that apparently there is some kind of orderly flow and people enjoy that. So maybe that's just my brain, as I choose the topics I want to tackle each week. Maybe that's just how it's coming out. So if anyone's appreciating that, thanks for letting me know. If you have been listening for a while, I appreciate you showing up and continuing to come, be here, and hang out with me. I love having you here because we are on a mission to shine a light on yours and my needs, right? Like, this is something I want to do. I very much feel drawn to the purpose of this podcast, which is to make sure that you know your needs are important, and we're going to try and tackle as many different situations and scenarios as we can. Some of these will be about teaching methods, and some of these will be stories from guests and stories from me, and I just want to connect with you and relate to you, and I think that is important when I've chosen to be here on this platform and have this conversation and this ability to converse with you. If you've had a chance to rate and review the podcast, that really truly helps me, so more and more people can connect here and we can create this community together. So thank you if you've done that already, and if not, make sure you stop before you exit the podcast app and leave that review, and feel free to click and follow so you get alerted every week when I'm here to hang out. So today we're going to talk about social anxiety. Ooh. So much of social anxiety is born a long time ago, and it just kind of builds and becomes a thing, and I feel like people end up just expecting this thing of themselves when they walk into a certain situation. So I'm going to dive into 5 how-tos so you can really put yourself into the shoes and the mindset and the place you've probably been before to perhaps find another way to go in your mind and feel better about the situation and about yourself, and have more confidence and be able to walk into a room and feel comfortable no matter what. And I promise you, everything we change or attempt to shift, especially about our minds, it's not an overnight thing. So you'll have to be a little patient with yourself, but also if you're going to try these things, a little consistency can go a long way, and eventually you'll start to see it pay off. So I say this up front because you will probably have a moment of, easier said than done. Perhaps. But I do encourage you to be patient with yourself, and perhaps you can start off promising yourself, while I listen to this episode, I will commit to trying this or some of these tips, because if it helps, I will feel good and I will be tending to my needs to feel good, which matter. Because like I say at the end of every episode, which you will hear at the end of this episode, is your needs matter because you matter. We are going to walk through pretty typical or common situations that you might find yourself in and feel nervous about. So let's start with the first example situation where you might feel nervous about going, nervous about how you look, how you feel, what you're going to say, who you're going to talk to, what you're going to feel like, is walking into a group gathering or a party. This could be with a group of people you know. You could be going with a friend. You could be meeting a friend there. No matter what, I feel like if this is something that happens to you, it doesn't matter what kind of comfort you're there with. Now, I get that going with somebody to an event is comfortable. That helps, right? Which, to be honest, is an easy first tip. If you're nervous going into a group gathering or a party, or maybe it's a dinner with a bunch of people where you have to sit and chit chat, go with somebody, right? Make sure that you're not on your own if that's something that matters to you, that helps you feel more comfortable. There's nothing wrong with inviting someone to come along. If you are the kind of person who feels, I can't do anything by myself, that might be another conversation. But for the most part, if you're the kind of person who thinks, I want to go to this thing, but I'd love to have someone go with me, there's a healthy ask there. Hey, would you come along? Whether it be a friend, a partner, so be it. So you walk in, and the second thing we start to think about, right, is when someone notices you, what you're going to say when you're introduced, how that's going to feel. Even if you're the type of person that warms up pretty quickly, those nerves could be there pretty strong right away. So one of the things I would recommend, my first mindset tip when you're heading into this room, is taking a huge deep breath and remembering that you are not the only one who feels this way. I think something we all have an initial issue with is reminding ourselves that we are not the only ones. I think that's why it becomes so big and overwhelming and nerve-wracking, and the social anxiety builds, because we put this belief inside of us, in our minds, that I'm the only one that feels this way. Nobody else feels this way. Everybody else is confident and ready to take on the party. No. So the first thing you can remember is I'm not the only one walking into this room feeling a little uneasy and feeling like I need some time to warm up to everybody. You are not alone. And in fact, if you really want to prove this to yourself, catch eyes with somebody and give them a little nod and a smile. I know it sounds weird, but if you just kind of push through that right away, you might put your own self at ease, knowing, I bet they were feeling the same way I was. And it doesn't even matter. You don't even have to prove it to yourself. It's really just a belief that you can grab onto, knowing that, I bet there's at least 10 people in the room right this second who feel the same way I do. A little apprehensive, a little nervous, a little worried about how they look, what they're going to say, how they're going to introduce themselves. I won't be the only one. It's just true. And hopefully, if you can take a deep breath and remember that thought, it can put you at ease right away, knowing that other people are going through the same thing you are. And we always feel better when we're connected in some way. We always feel better when we can share an experience with somebody. It's kind of a proven human experience that we can calm ourselves down. This one, where someone else might be feeling the same way you feel, is very, very transferable. You can use that in any situation that you're feeling uncomfortable. Okay, so if you're meeting one person and one person only, this unbelievably applies. They will most likely, and even if they aren't, but you get to believe it, they are most likely feeling the same way you are. Apprehensive, a little nervous, not sure. Okay? Tip number 2, slow down. When you're initially starting to meet people or see someone that you know already and say hello for the first time, that when you enter a room, slow down. You don't have to speak so fast. You don't have to get a bunch of information out. You don't have to say everything that's in your mind to try and look a certain way. You don't. And I will get into the fact that you get to absolutely just be yourself in your own shoes and not try to over-impress, because you are very capable of being absolutely wonderfully impressive all on your own just by walking into a room, taking a deep breath and saying, "Hello, how are you? I'm great." Slow down. Even if the conversation begins to progress and you get the question, "What do you do?" or "How do you know so and so?" The typical small talk, you still can slow down. So automatically you're telling your nervous system, chill out, we're fine. Tip number 3, don't lock your knees, don't make fists. I know it sounds weird, but when your body is rigid, your mind kind of gets the hint that we should be rigid. So if your shoulders are up high, if your hands are clenched, if your knees are locked, if any part of your body feels like you're squeezing or tightening it, or maybe you're in heels and you're squeezing your butt really tight so you don't fall over. I get that. Release, let go, open your hands, put your shoulders down, unlock your knees. Okay? So those are 3 tips to get your mind and your body in a good place so you can feel better in the conversation initially, in the entering of the room initially, okay? This is kind of your right when you walk in tips. So let's review. 1, we're going to remember that you're not the only person feeling this way, that there's other people in the room feeling a little nervous. 2, when you do begin to speak and say hello and address people, you're going to slow down when you answer. "Hi, nice to meet you. Yes, that's correct. I do work in corporate accounting," or whatever. And number 3, relax your body. Bring attention to your body. Even if you're in the middle of a conversation, you can probably do this in a multitasking type way. Open your hands, put your shoulders down, unlock your knees, unclench your butt. Okay, I know, but you know what I mean. Even guys might do that too. It's not just girls trying to stay up in their 5-inch heels. Which also brings me to another tip. Dress to impress yourself. Dress to impress yourself. I know when you're going to a certain nicer situation, maybe you're meeting the parents for the first time, maybe this is a corporate dinner with the boss, maybe it's a Christmas party where everyone's just trying to have fun, or it's a theme, whatever it is, dress to impress yourself. When you put on the shoes, the outfit, whatever it is, I want it to be something where you stand in front of the mirror and you're like, "Oh, hey, I look good." Because when you're happy with what you're wearing and you feel good about yourself and what you're wearing, you're more likely to walk into a room already bringing confidence with you. Because when you walk into a room dressing for other people and dressing possibly uncomfortably, it's going to take your mind away from the ability to relax. It's going to make you think more about what other people think of you. So dress to impress yourself first. Let me also offer this. Even if someone is showing off their confidence, they still might have that twinge of nerves underneath. Because my theory, which I've shared before, is confidence is 50% bravery and 50% practice. That if you have natural confidence, wonderful, but you still have to practice it. And it does still take bravery to conjure it up and make use of it. So even if you see someone who seems to be running the room and know what they're talking about, they still might feel a twinge of nerves. I'll be honest, I'm that kind of person where if you see me walk into a room, you immediately think I'm good, I'm solid, I'm confident, I know myself, I'm authentic. Yes, and I get nervous, and I still have to remind myself of these tips. And number 1 always helps put me at ease, which is I'm not the only one feeling this way. Other people get nervous, and that makes me feel better. You don't have to be uncomfortable to feel good in your skin. And when you feel good in your skin, you look good. Feeling good looks good. Keep that in mind. And number 5, you can always use your boundaries. If there's a conversation you're not comfortable with, there's always the, "I'll be right back. I saw someone I need to say bye to. I'll be right back. I need to run to the restroom." Or, "I need to check my phone real fast." If you have kids, you can always use the babysitter line, even if it's not true. Even if you're totally confident in your babysitter, you can just say, "Listen, I'm going to go check with my babysitter. See you later. You don't have to get caught up in a conversation that makes you uncomfortable. You don't have to answer questions that make you uncomfortable. So if you're in a dinner or gathering, standing up at a cocktail table or in a dinner, you don't have to continue a conversation. Now, if it's hard for you to get up and walk away, you can use language like, you know what? Sorry, hold that thought. I had another thought, or I have another question for you. If you show interest in something else, you'll feel a lot less bad or guilty or weird about changing the subject and cutting them off. But sometimes we don't enjoy ourselves as much in a social situation or become more nervous about a social situation because we end up in a conversation we just don't want to be in. And you don't really have to have that play out, because at the end of the night, don't you want to enjoy yourself? These 5 tips I'm giving you today, this is just scratching the surface, but they are very helpful. And I feel like this might be the biggest one, because it reminds you, anyone who uses these tips especially, that when you get to use your boundaries, even in a social situation, it not only helps you feel more confident and more safe and more comfortable in a social environment, but it also allows you the chance to enjoy yourself. Enjoy the outing, enjoy the conversations, and be present and be in it. So these tips are meant for you to feel good in your skin, to feel less apprehensive, to be able to relax, and at the end of the day, feel more powerful enough to be in control of yourself in any situation and enjoy yourself and have fun. So at the end of the social interaction, whatever it may be, and granted, I get it, once you kind of ease in and have a glass of wine or two, that you're fine. But at the end of the night, you can be like, listen, that was really fun. I had a great time. Nobody wants to go to an event all apprehensive and nervous and feeling weird, and by the end of the night say, oh, I was so uncomfortable. I hated the shoes I chose. They hurt my feet. I felt really nervous all night. I wasn't sure what I was talking about. I had this one conversation I didn't like. If you think of all the complaints you could share at the end of a social outing, these 5 tips can get ahead of that. What did we learn today? Here's your takeaway. If you have a birthday party, a dinner, a cocktail hour, a wedding, any kind of event or social outing that you have coming up that you're a little nervous about going to, put these 5 tips into action and just see how it feels and what it changes. So I'm going to do a quick review for the end here, and then I will send you on your way, my dear listener. Number 1, go into your mind and remind it that there are other people who feel nervous when you first walk into a social setting. Number 2, slow down when you talk so you can catch your breath, take a deep breath, and get your thoughts out and know that you don't have to say everything all at once. Just slow down. Number 3, relax your body. Shoulders, hands, knees, feet, butt. Relax it. Number 4, dress to impress yourself. Dress to be comfortable in your own skin. It will boost your confidence when you walk into a room automatically. And number 5, remember that you get to utilize your boundaries. I know, easier said than done, but just don't forget that that's available to you. And there are kind ways to cut people off if you're in an uncomfortable conversation. And you also, I didn't mention, boundaries can also be used when you're ready to go home and go to bed. For those of us who love going to bed at 9, 10 o'clock, or just if you're done, if you've just decided I had my one beverage, I had a couple apps, I talked to that person, I've made my rounds. If you're done, you get to use your boundaries at that point, say your goodbyes, and leave. It's okay. Even if someone tries to say, don't leave, don't go, you should stay. As nice as it is for someone to want you to stick around, if you're done, you can be done. It's okay, because like I said, if you want to enjoy going out and being a part of these social interactions, leaving when you're ready to leave will help you feel better about it overall. Then you can go home and review these 5 tips that you made use of and think, you know what, that was so helpful. I feel so much better at the end of the night. I actually had a really good time, and I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was going to be. Yay! And then you get to celebrate it. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was something you needed today, because your needs matter, because you matter, Take care. Oh, and go have fun at the party. Okay, bye. Thank you for listening to the Needy and Normal podcast. If you liked what you heard today, share it generously. And please leave me a rating and a review and subscribe so then you can come back every week because I'd love to have you. For any information about coaching together, visit ablifecoaching.com.